Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I know that, I want to thank the Minister for bringing a bill on this important matter. However, when we are dealing with important matters, we must not get emotional, because the decision we take, like for example, and I know we are all desperate for solutions, and it is this very desperation that is going to lead us down the wrong track. If you look at the definition of what we mean by terrorism in the Act, when I look at this definition, I can tell you right now that if the university students protested tomorrow on the street, they would qualify as a terrorist group under this definition. The students at university would qualify under this definition. We have to be responsible. You mean like defining when I'm something you may mean by terrorism, then let's define it properly. In this definition, I don't see tribal warlords being mentioned here. Our problem is with tribal warlords and organized gangs in a particular part of Papua New Guinea. Why don't we, Minister, I urge you, why don't you add that definition in here? Let's be specific. Amending past 10. Let's target the groups that we know are causing problems. No can put in one broad definition where right now, any of our student groups, they qualify as a terrorist group based on this definition. Now, I'm not going to stand here and support a new law that could endanger university students or trade unions for that matter. I don't think that's good enough. Who drafted this thing? How? Were enough groups consulted? Did we consult, for example, the trade unions in drafting this law? Who was consulted? Were the police consulted? Were senior policemen consulted in drafting this? Or did we just get a group of members of parliament, you may sit down and you may draft in this one? We've got to be responsible in managing a country. Leaders, this is not a tucker box we are running. Me poreti alo passive kind law where you could, it's up to the minister to determine who is an authorized officer. My God, that's the second problem with this. You should take out members of parliament, politically influenced persons, entirely out of this bill. The police commissioner should not be taking instructions from anyone. These are fundamental principles of law in a democratic country. We already know that Commissioner Manning is heavily politically influenced. We know that already. That's not good enough. He needs to be protected from political influence. You don't legislate political influence into a law. If you really seriously want something like this, then make it independent. Laring decision staff law, hand law, commander law, defense force now, police commissioner. Let them make the decision. They're the experts. With great respect to the minister, who I think is a good minister, he is not qualified as a law enforcement officer. Now what happens if we decide to appoint a bus driver as a police commissioner, police minister? Are we going to hand this power of appointment to such an individual? I think that's irresponsible. We can't design a law and build in a flaw. That's irresponsible. Deputy Speaker, I want to support a law that actually will give us results. And let me ask another question. The thing we need to deal with the terrorists that are operating up in some of our parts of the country are special units and special training. The United States have been offering us special training at Quantico for our officers. Are we taking up those offers to have our people trained in some of the best places in the world? Amaspla, policeman or defense force officers, you misalim go Peninsula America, no kizim this training. Or by me passing law past them now. Behind you me by thinking whether we send our people there or not. I think one of our primary roles as legislators is to ensure the correctness of laws, number one. And number two is to ensure that we protect some of the rights and freedoms that people currently employ. The simple reason being that, you know, if you get a dictator in the seat of the Prime Minister, he could use this law and the opposition could qualify as a terrorist group under this definition as well. We qualify as a terrorist group right now. And I say again, Papua New Guineans are watching all of us on camera. They're watching us. So I urge us to be cautious. Yes, we are desperate for solutions. Nobody can deny that. You may all are liking solution law or law and order problems, but when it comes to terrorism, let's clearly define it so we know who this law targets. If we are going to target tribal warlords up in the highlands, organized gangs, then let's have that in the definition in section 2. Rausin this broad definition you like got where you can apply it to any group right now and be specific with it, so that there is no confusion as to what we mean when we talk about a terrorist organization. The next thing is that we've spent what, 400 million so far building the capacity of the police force. What are the results of that really? And we have another budget coming up, and I'm sure we're going to spend at least another 200 or 300 million, judging from the conversations that the government has been having. Surely